What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, Luna Classic just made a move that we've been talking about for the last week or so, and for that reason, of course, I'm going to give you guys an update on just what I'm looking at and what I am expecting now that it has happened. So make sure you do stick around towards the middle of the video, as I will let you know why there's only 3 days left for you to get $115 completely for free. But with that said, let's get into some Luna Classic. So looking at Luna Classic, of course, we've been talking about being within this descending wedge, right? Or a falling triangle, whatever you want to call it, right? Now, with that, we said yesterday, like, hey, this thing is going to break out today. You could see that these levels of support were starting to hold, and I said it has less than 12 hours before we're going to see a breakout, and you need to pay attention to where this thing goes. And what you can see is we did get that breakout to the top side. Now, I've been telling you all, though, the biggest thing that you need to pay attention to on the breakout of a crypto, especially of this nature, is not just it getting above this resistance line. Everyone misconfuses that. They always say, oh, we broke out, we're going to go straight up. And sure, you may get a nice little pump, but one thing people often forget is that as it took so much effort from the bulls to get out of here, that almost always we will hit a level of rejection, usually our last point of resistance, and then immediately collapse back to the downside. I mean, that is almost always what happens. Remember this, right? Whenever we're in let's call this a macro downtrend, then we start to get bounces to the upside like this, right? And then we break to the downside. What do we know? Well, we know that when we start to break to the downside, we're very likely to see some type of capitulation straight down to these previous points of support, and that's where we can expect a bounce, right? Well, it's the same exact thing for a structure of this nature. When we're in a macro uptrend and we have these bounces, that when you get a break to the upside, you will almost always go back to your previous point of resistance and then bounce back to the downside. I mean, that's just almost always what happens. Now, does that mean that it's for sure going to just go straight down? No. This is when we start to see a battle happen between the bulls and the bears. But everyone says, oh, buy the breakout, when oftentimes that buying the breakout, you end up pretty even as it comes back to retest after getting rejected. Okay, so that's why I was telling you all, we're not looking just for the breakout. We're looking for it to surpass 30 and get the daily close above it as well. And look what happened. We came up, we got immediately rejected off of it, got pushed straight to the downside, and now many of you didn't get faked out by buying right here, okay? So now what? That's the biggest question, right? Now what? Well, what we can see is that we have a range, and you guys know I love ranges. Ranges are the easiest thing to trade in crypto, in my opinion, and what that range is going to be is between 30 and 27.8, or let's just call it 281, okay? 30 up here as resistance, 281 to the downside here as support. Now, as we are seeing, we got a retest up to this level, this 30 level, and then a pullback. So immediately, considering the fact that this was a previous point of resistance right here, we came back up to it, got rejected, that tells us that this is still a level of importance, and that if we're able to clear this level, we are very, very likely to see some type of growth to the top side. This was a massive level of support, as you can see. All of these establishments of support, and from that establishment of support, you can very clearly see that we have now flipped that into resistance. And so considering the fact that we flipped the level of support now into resistance, it tells us that I'm not doing any big buying until we clear this level, because that's very bearish, right? So right now we're coming back down to retest this previous point of resistance. Best case scenario is we find some support here and we come back up to retest 30. At the point in which we do break 30 and we get the daily close above it, I will be much more optimistic about buying Luna Classic. But until we do that, there is a strong likelihood of us trending back to the downside, because this is such a strong level of resistance. It held us up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days right here. This support held for 10 days. Just imagine how strong this resistance could be to the downside, right? So for that reason, I would not be doing any major buying below 30, but once we break 30, oh man, that should be a good sign that we are in a position to see some strong growth to the upside. Now, do understand though, that's not guaranteed, and we very well could see a bounce of this nature and then straight continuation to the downside, similar to what we've seen in the past, especially with something like Shiba Inu, and we even saw it at one point on Dogecoin. These very these cryptos within similar categories, right? So what we need to pay attention to is, okay, does support hold? And if support does not hold, how can we take advantage of that in the form of a trade? Now, before we do get into that, I told you all that you had 3 days left to get $115 completely for free. And what this means is that if you use the link down below, you will get $15 as a USDT futures trading bonus completely for free just for signing up. No KYC necessary. You don't have to do anything of that nature. Just sign up simply. Now, if you also deposit anywhere between $100 and $1,000, you will get 10% back on your investment and another form of the USDT futures trading bonus, again, paid out on Fridays. Guys, this means if you deposit $100, you get $10 back plus the $15 for signing up. That's a free $25. If you deposit $1,000, you get $100 back for depositing and you get $15 for signing up. That's $115 completely for free. This is the best sign up and deposit bonus on the internet, in my opinion. So make sure you use the link down below. Now for you whales, you can also get up to $4,000 with higher deposits, but that will be attached down below also. So with that said, guys, let's transfer now into the downside. What happens if we don't get a bounce here? This does not hold. We can't see this establishment of resistance cleared and we start to capitulate, okay? Well, I'm still looking at 28.1. As long as we're above 281, I think we're in a position to see some growth, okay? Now, the reason I say that is because if we just simply draw our Fibonacci's from the swing low all the way up until the swing high, it's a very clear picture, guys. We came back down in this descending wedge straight down to the 786 level and bounced up out of it. If at any given point we come down and lose this 786 level, statistics say that the loss of the 786 level will almost always, let's go ahead and call it 70 to 80% of the time, lead to a revisit to the range low that created the Fibonacci. Now, the range low that created this Fibonacci is sitting right around 25.8, meaning that likelihood is if we come back down and lose this previous point of support, there's a very high chance we come back to revisit this 25.8 level. And so for that reason, I do believe there could be a beautiful short trade to take on there, which could look like, anywhere between, about 8.6% in gains to the downside there, okay? So for that reason, there could be a beautiful trade to be made if we do get the daily close below 281. So do be on the lookout for that. So it's a very easy process, right? You guys are saying, so you're saying it can go up or it can go down. Yeah, it can go up or it can go down. I don't know what it's going to do. And crypto is so hard to read right now that I wouldn't be betting on one thing happening one way or another. But what I do know is that whenever levels of significance or confirmations are broken, the likelihood of a trade working out in our favor goes up substantially. And so until we either break our range high or our range low, range high sitting at 30 and our range low sitting at 281, I'm not going to do anything. We could go sideways in here for a long time and then boom, bounce, or then boom, capitulate. And at that capitulation or at that bounce, that's whenever I'm looking to go long or to go short, expecting to, to get gains because the odds are more on my favor. We're not going to be 100%, but we can get as close as possible, and that's what I'm looking for, okay? So with that said, that's going to be about it for today's video. Do pay attention to this range. I do think it's important, and I do think it will lead to gains to the upside or to the downside, just depending on which one of those levels is broken first. So turn on your alerts and make sure you turn on notifications for the channel so you know whenever it happens, because I will be the first one to upload. But with that said, that's going to be about it. Of course, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you all next time. Peace.